Alrighty, everybody, it is currently Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live from a WWE match. Dave Batista's coming in, and oh, wait, no, we're at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. Actually, that's where I'm coming from. And if you listen to the episode I did on Saturday, or I think it came out on Saturday, I don't remember. If you listen to that one, you might have heard me talking about a bit of a sickness coming on. Just a little bit of something, something. Maybe a cough, maybe a sore throat. When I tell you I woke up the next day and I thought I had a stroke or contracted some form of bacterial meningitis, I am not fucking joking, dude. I literally Sunday was not a blessed day for me. Let's say that much. God saw me doing all that work on Sunday, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna make you take a fucking rest." Cause Sunday was not an easy day for me at all. That sickness really said, "Oh yeah, you think you're gonna fucking beat me? You think you're gonna drink enough water, take enough vitamin D, take enough fucking ashwagandhas? You think you're gonna do that and you're gonna beat me? Fuck no." Came in from the free throw line, Blake Griffin nuts in my fucking face, not even in my face, fully testicles and balls in my mouth, and just yammed on me. Whole fucking stadium, packed stadium, game 7 of the finals, fucking game winning dunk, pantsless, dude. No underwear, no shorts, just dick and balls straight into the fucking mouth. That is what happened to me on Sunday. When I woke up on Sunday, like as much as I bitch on this, I feel like I don't bitch to my friends too much, or if I do it jokingly. I texted one of my boys and I was like, "You might have to say goodbye now." You know what I mean? It's like when you have an old dog and it stops eating. That's what I felt like. I was like, the boys might have to say farewell. It was insane. It was also insane just because I was really sick, but it wasn't like when you're regular when fuck, dude, I'm still sick, dude. My brain still isn't working, and that's part of the sickness. But it hasn't been like I haven't had a fever. I haven't had a fever at all, but I've had extreme like muscle pain, tiredness. Uh, I for the first like day, maybe 2 days, the amount of fluid that was just coming out of my like pouring out of my body. I'm not kidding, dude. I I don't have tissues, so I was using like an old pair of underwear. Hey man, look, desperate times call for dude. Back in the 1800s, people would walk around with a fucking blood-soaked rag that their dad had owned and fucking use it to wipe down their baby. All right, I can use a pair of clean. I do want to specify that clean underwear to wipe just gallons of fluid coming out of my face, like just snot and tears and just fucking everything, dude. It was just and I gotta kind of thank my immune system for the strong response. I'm still a bit sick. I think maybe I sound a bit sick. But I do have to thank my immune system for that strong response because it's only been what 4 days of like being decently sick, and I'm already feeling quite a bit better. Feeling quite a bit better, and you guys aren't gonna like why I've been feeling better. Look, I've been doing all the normal things. I've been, going to bed early, taking my vitamins, drinking a fuck ton of water, dude. The amount of times I've pissed recently has been, absurd, dude. I was kind of like thinking about hopping on like some sort of kink subreddit and being like, look, I've got enough piss here for for all you fucking freaks. All right, I've got more than enough for you fucking basement dwellers with 18 face piercings. That's what I felt like, just with the amount of piss that's been coming out, and just bright as beautiful and clear as a freshly made spring in the mountains of North Carolina. It's just perfect. I don't even know if a person with a piss fetish would be like, "Hey, let me get some of that," because it's water at this point, dude. It was literally water coming out of my body. So I've been really hydrated, taking my vitamin D. My ashwagandha's got some other vitamins in it. So I've been taking all that. Yeah, like I said, sleeping early, not working out at all. Trying not to just trying not to do too much, trying to, limit my exposure to things that might make me more sick, like the AC. It's been a sauna up in here, you know. I'm basically Finnish. It's been hot and it's been muggy, dude. And like I said, tons of fluids coming out of my body, and I think a lot of those evaporated into the air and turned my already moldy dorm room into yeah, a bit more of a sauna. So I've been sweating, all that good stuff, dude. All the stuff that you're supposed to do when you're sick. But I think I unlocked the secret. I think I finally unlocked it. God, someone just like honked the horn outside. I thought it was the ops, dude. I thought it was the Jews again. I thought I thought the Jews were pulling up on me like say Lahaim, motherfucker. Bang. Um, but I do think I unlocked the secret. You know, like that fucking. If you guys have ever seen the movie Atlantis, the animated movie with that hot fucking bitch with the white hair, you ever seen that movie? I fucking unlocked that energy crystal they use to like ride those like motorcycles and shit around or flying cars or whatever it is. I unlocked that, dude. When it comes to being sick, I figured it out. I don't need fucking Trump getting on me telling me not to fucking take Tylenol or whatever. I don't need that because I think I figured out the secret to just pure, unlimited vitality. You know, maybe when you're not sick, it might be a little bit too much vitality. And that trick is don't come. You know? To quote Kamala Harris, do not come. Do not come. All right, because I haven't been doing that at all, and maybe that's contributing to the brain fog a little bit. But if here's the thing, I've had other periods of what I mean, building up the Hoover Dam on my dick. I've had periods like that where I'm just like, no, not today. I have to be powerful. I've had that a few times, where I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. And the type of brain fog that comes from that is more so just like a general feeling of just aggression and like not not like I want to hurt people, but just like a general like I'm walking around, not even wishing a motherfucker would, but like if a motherfucker did, I would go full on Florida man on bath salts and eat his face off. Like that's the feeling that I get when I'm just blocking it for a while, you know what I mean? When I'm sticking a little shish kebab skewer in there to just prevent myself from jizzing. A little self-imposed vasectomy. So that's the general feeling I get from that, though. And the brain fog from this has been, it, at a certain point, definitely on Monday. I had this calculus quiz on Monday, and when I tell you I did not know how to write down numbers, I literally couldn't multiply 2 by 2 by 2. I couldn't do that. Right? Like it wasn't even fog. It was smog, dude. It was like that shit you see in like Shanghai or Seoul or whatever, where it's just like unfettered industrial production, just thick in the air, just like you breathe that shit in and instantly your lungs just like vaporize or turn into concrete or whatever. Like that's what I had. I didn't have brain fog. I had brain not working. that's that's the best way to put it, dude. It was my brain was not functioning at all. But since then, and really even later that day, I was kind of chilling. First day of whatever this is, I don't know. But I theorized that maybe we were dealing with a Jewish death laser here. But either I'm too much of an Aryan, I'm too much of my Aryan powers are so strong that I've resisted the Jewish death laser, or this is just a standard run of the mill sickness. Because day one, we had just a complete and utter collapse of the entire system, dude. It was full on fucking Armageddon up in here. The entire thing stopped working. It was the fluids were coming out of my face. I was coughing a little bit, not too much, just a little bit though, and just being not able to really function as a whole. Just not able to do it. Like there was one point where I couldn't even watch TV. Was trying to watch something on TV, and I was just like, we're gonna have to call this quits. We're just, and like I said, I didn't have a fever this entire time, and it's still, summertime out a little bit. So I had the AC blasting, and I just like went and I laid down fully clothed, fully just sneakers on, shoes tight, as a motherfucker, dude. That's what I was wearing, and I just like laid on the ground. I remember I tried to sit down in my chair to watch TV, and I was just like, no, I'm not gonna be. I can't. Like I couldn't keep my back up straight, and so I laid down and just like let the AC just blow directly on me, which. And I didn't fall asleep. I was just like, dude, you're fucked up. But it wasn't like being fucked up other times where your conscious isn't going as much. I was fully aware of how destroyed I was, just physically and mentally. Just my muscles, they couldn't function. I'm not the biggest dude, but I got some pretty decent musculature on me. So for me, did I have like the back and like neck strength required to like sit up straight in a chair and watch TV is crazy. It's it's absurd. And so I just laid there, like fully clothed, just be you're not gonna make it out of this one, dude. I felt like it was the end of the movie. And I was bleeding out, in the field, and I was just like, you gotta muster one last rally. Look, you might not make it back to base, but you could take a few of those towel heads and the Taliban out with you. Like that's what I was feeling like. I was like, it's time for the final stand. I sharpen my sword, I get my mace ready. I make sure my armor's on tight, and I charge into the fucking line of infantry that's attacking me. Like that's what I felt like on day one. On day zero, I guess we'll call it. That was the day I recorded the podcast, and I was like, "Oh, my throat's a little dry and itchy. What could it be for? I don't know. Maybe the AC or whatever." And my AC, I'm not gonna let you disrespect me like that. That's what my AC said to me, because boy, when I woke up the next day, I woke up, and this is day one at this point now. We're going back to day one here. Everything was so dry. I was dry bop, dude. I was chilling in Sandy's house, and I was refusing water, acting like a big old macho man. That's what I woke up on day one. Just nasal passages completely dry. I've had like nasal type infections before, like my sinuses are so swollen that it hurts to swallow, which for me that's a very big problem. Darnell was not happy about this one. He called me up and he called me up and he said, "I need some throat, motherfucker." And I was like, "No, dude, my sinuses hurt too much." So I've had that before, and that's like the only other time I felt my sinuses other than this. I could feel every single inch of my nasal passageways because they were like so dry and cracked, dude. They were like the vagina of an unfucked 70-year-old woman. It was crazy. It looked like Paula Dean's pussy up in there. It was just not even human at a certain point. It looked, if they launched a little mini camera up in there, dude, they'd be like, we're on the surface of some long lost planet. Like that's what was going on up in my nasal passages at the beginning. And then immediately after I was up for like 5 minutes, the fluid started coming, dude. The fluid started coming, and not in the way I wanted them to. All right, not in the way I wanted to have my face covered in fluids. I was hoping it was Darnell in his 8-inch monster covered my face in fluids. Nah, not this time. This time it was my own body and just clear. Like I said, it was like my piss. Like some people, and even me when I've been sick before, it's you got thick like globs of fucking snot coming out of your nose and all that stuff. This was literally just like water just pouring out of my every facial orifice. Just so much, so clear, so rejuvenating. When the tears were falling into my eyes, I was like, let's go. This is basically Gatorade. It's basically unsweetened Gatorade at this point. As the tears fell into my eyes to like hopefully rehydrate my dying body. My dying body. So that's Sunday. And so Sunday kind of the whole thing went like that. I took a nap, and then that just made things even worse because I couldn't fall asleep at night. I was in bed, and like I said, no fever. Maybe a little bit of like chills here and there, but mostly muscle aches. And so I went to bed just tossing and turning until like 2 in the morning. I got like 6 hours for some people 6 hours of sleep is fine, but for me, man, at 6 hours that's half. Let's be honest here. For me, 6 hours, that's about half. And so I woke up the next morning, and I didn't have to wake up early the next morning, but I did, and I woke up at like 6:45 because I was like, maybe it's allergies. I've never had allergies before. Maybe like a slight, itch in the throat, sneeze, cough here and there, but I've never had allergies this extreme before. That should have been the hint. Maybe the fact that I've never experienced it before and it's never affected me means it's not happening now. But who knows? I was convincing myself. And look, this is like the 5 stages of grief here. Because if I had to guess, I'd say I'm probably going to be decently sick for around 5 days. We're on day 4 right now. I'm feeling pretty decent. Still a bit of brain fog, but nothing more than usual. I'm pretty retarded anyway. So the sickness can only affect my brain, that much. There's not that much up there to like really fucking munch on or whatever the virus is doing up in there. And so I went through denial, and then on Monday I woke up and I was like, I something about when I'm sick. When I wake up in the morning, I don't feel that sick anymore. I don't. It just isn't the same. I don't know what it is. Because usually when I'm going to bed, that's when I feel the sickest. But when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel sick at all. And so I was like, it was allergies, dude. We beat the fucking allergies. I was a little bit disappointed in myself for thinking that I had allergies in the first place. Because that's just complete and utter coward shit, dude. That should be one of the tests when we're letting people into this goddamn country. Do you have allergies? Does fucking eating a peanut kill you? If the answer is yes, you ain't strong enough to be here. All right, so I was like, thank God, it's just fucking allergies. And so I had to. The reason I woke up early was so I could go to Walmart. And I was still feeling a bit sick, so I was like, I'll pick up some vitamin D while I'm there. And I'm not talking about Darnell's vitamin D. All right, not talking about that. So I went to Walmart, and like on the drive over there, the same like physical feeling that washed over my body when I collapsed onto the floor and started like literally into like a praying to Allah position. That feeling washed over me as I was whipping the 2014 Subaru Crosstrek. Like it was too much. But I made it to Walmart, and I had to buy vitamin D and a gaming headset, and I think I bought one other thing. I don't remember. And then no, it was just vitamin D and the gaming headset. So I pull up to Walmart, and I'm destroyed. Like by the time I get there, I'm destroyed. And I don't live. There's a few bums that roam around the city that I live in, but not a whole ton. Not a ton of bums around here. A fair, probably more than average for like this size of town, but not a ton of bums. So I must have looked even more insane than a lot of those guys because I had dark, fucking baggy circles under my eyes, dude. It looked like I just got done with a 4-day fucking meth/jerking off bender. That's what it looked like. I was peeking through the blinds, waiting for the fucking spiders to come and eat me, or whatever people on meth experience. So I pulled up to Walmart, and it took me 15 minutes to find vitamin D. There's not even half an aisle for vitamins, and I was like, "Where is it at? Where are you at?" That's what it felt like. And then I pull up to get the gaming headset, and once again, same experience, same exact experience where I was looking at the gaming headsets, being like, "Which one are you calling me?" Like fully fucked up. And other than that, the Walmart trip was rather uneventful. But then the calculus class strike. Look, is my professor an incredibly attractive woman? Yes, she is. Let's just be honest there about that. Yes, she is. But sometimes it's that, that can only help me so much. When I'm sick in a goddamn calculus class and I'm taking a quiz, even though it's open note, these aren't like fucking, 1990s cartoons pop quizzes where the fucking evil teacher walks in and he's like, I'm going to get you today with a pop quiz. No, she tells us about it and she gives us the notes. Although I don't remember her telling us about it, but that might have been because on Friday, or I guess Thursday, the little virus guy was already eating my brain. He was already munching on the amygdala and all that good juicy stuff in there. So I rocked up to that, and I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. I think I can swing, taking an open note quiz right now. Nope. Nope. I could not swing taking an open note quiz right then and there. I couldn't find even the formulas that I was supposed to be using for the quiz. And literally, I think one of the questions on the quiz was like an example we did in class. maybe not the exact example, but pretty close. Although I guess that's the point of examples, is to provide uh, an example of what you're supposed to do. But I was looking at that bitch. I erased what I wrote down 50 to 100 times. I don't know. I know that's a big range, especially when we're talking about, erasing shit during a 20-minute quiz. I'd say it's at least that much, if not more. And I was just like 2 times 8, and then I do 8, but wait, like that for about 20 minutes straight. Then yesterday, it was yesterday, Tuesday. Dude, that feels like I barely remember that. I'm like, was Tuesday a month ago? That's how fucked up. Like, this thing just went straight for my brain. Just straight up, we're gonna munch this dude's prefrontal cortex before it can even fucking finish developing, which is fine by me. That's fine for it to munch my prefrontal cortex, dude, because I'm pretty sure that's where the schizophrenia hangs out. So if you want to munch that thing a little bit, I ain't got no problem with it. Virus or Jewish death ray, whatever it is. So yeah, Tuesday we were doing some we were doing some experiment with Hot Wheels where we're supposed to do math with Hot Wheels, but it was raining, so we had to do it inside, and you can't do the experiment inside. You need like a pretty flat surface to be able to do the experiment well. So we were doing like this shit on like skateboard ramps basically. And what you're supposed to do in the experiment is like walk along the decline that the car is going down and like record a tape measure that's next to the car. It has to do with like velocity and all that bullshit. And so so we completely failed at that. And I don't remember a thing about it. I don't remember a word that came out of my mouth, if any came out. Dude, the only thing, I might have just opened my mouth, my eyes turned black, and just some thick red goo might have started coming out of my mouth. I don't remember anything about that. And that was Tuesday. I feel like I'm doing that, what is it, the Smith song? Tuesday, I was tripping balls. Wednesday, now I'm just coughing a little bit. And like that's the thing. Like I woke up today, my sinuses weren't dry, my throat wasn't particularly dry, which Darnell was upset about because he really likes a wet throat, but regardless, I woke up and everything was pretty chill. I mean, I'm coughing, got a bit of snot coming out here and there, but and still definitely brain fog and a slight fever, but yeah, it was just like 3 days of like, how's it go? And then just today I woke up and I was like, nah, I guess it's like mediocre. I'm kind of sick, but like I could do really anything I need to do. But the other 3 days, it was like I can't sit down. I'm physically incapable of sitting down, dude. I was like Larry Bird. Like when Larry Bird injured his back and he was like later in his career and he would go to the bench and he would like lay down. That's what fully I was doing. In the exact same way Larry Bird did it. I couldn't even like look at my phone. I was so sick. But yeah, that's been my sickness experience. I don't know. I, I do feel like I'm gonna beat it in a week, which I feel like is a pretty good time frame. I feel like most people and fully beat it. I mean, I think I could fully beat it in a week. Although the Jews might be listening to this and they're about to, ramp up the death rate even more because of all the fucking tough talking that I'm doing. But I don't know how like reassuring it is that I can beat it in a week if like half of that week is me being completely incapacitated from being able to function in any normal capacity. Like I don't know how valuable that skill is. It's like being like, yeah, I can deadlift 500 pounds, but then I also can't, walk for 2 days. It's like, well, then how valuable is deadlifting 500 pounds? So yeah, pretty shitty. And yesterday, dude, I even had more of like a brain not working moment because me and my brother we send each other Instagram reels every once in a while, and I sent him one yesterday, and it was this, and they're always like schizophrenic people, or maybe it'll be something about the Jews or whatever, but for the most part, it's just like schizophrenic people recording themselves being like, and then they put a, like, there's this one lady that always says the exact like name and location. She's like, "Hello, this is Mary from Frankville, Kentucky, and I'm coming at you on April 38th, 2087 or whatever." She just always says the fucking like name and date every single time. And then she like goes on her little schizophrenic rant. And so we send shit like that to each other. And I sent this one to him yesterday. It was this lady, and it wasn't a video. I guess it was technically a video, but the video was just uh you know when you go to the doctor's office and they put that little paper down on that lazy boy that you, or I guess not a lazy boy. It's just like a permanently reclined lazy boy that they lay you down on, that type of thing. It was, the post was just like the paper was all like torn up around the butt area. Uh, and the caption to it, like in the video, it was just a picture and then text. That was what the video was. And the text was like, I keep going to the doctor's office, but they're putting something in my urethra to make it burn or whatever. And I was like, dude, fucking my brother's gonna find this hilarious. And I guess he is a dad now. So this maybe, that should be a hint to me that he's maybe become not more empathetic. I'd say I'm a decently empathetic person. I'm actually the most fucking empathetic person, dude. When I see someone scrape their knee, I get out on my fucking floor and start crying and wailing and banging my fist on the ground, because that's what empathy is, guys, right? Empathy is becoming emotional. That's what it is, right? It's definitely not feeling bad for a person. Which I guess that is a feeling, but it's just not. It's not the same. You know, you feel sad for a person, but it doesn't. And it makes you feel sad a little bit, but you're not. I don't know. I feel like empathy is just like a little bit misconstrued, where people are like, you know, with whatever it is, right? It'll be like, oh, my grandma died of cancer. I'll be like, that, like, God, that really sucks for that person. Like, if that was me, or even just like, even if, I'm never put in that situation, that's still just like an awful situation for that person to be in. But I'm not like incapacitated about it. I'm not like having the same emotional reaction as that person, nor should I, right? Like these fucking, once again, back to schizophrenics, these schizophrenics that like post stuff on the internet of being like, every time I think about Gaza, I start to cry. And it's like, well, then that's not good. It's not good for every time you think about something bad to cry about it. It's not good in a capacity for your own life, because fucking what's going to happen when some shit happens to you? Uh, you know, if you fucking like saw just like a TikTok of some girl being like, I'm starving over here, you need to bring me rice and bread or whatever, and that makes you just wail on the floor, the fuck is gonna happen to you when you fucking experience something for real? But it's also not constructive, because it's like, then you're not gonna be able to solve the problem, right? Let's say, yeah, use the whole Gaza thing, for example, or just Palestine as a whole. They're really all getting it. It is not a fun time for those boys over there. But it's like, you're not going to be able to solve the problem if you're just like in a complete emotional wreck, right? And that applies to problems in your own life. But the thing about that is, there's always something fucked up going on in the world. There's always something horrible happening to someone, and especially with like the internet and social media now, you can always hear about that. You can always hear about the shitty thing that's happening to someone else, right? That's the difference between like being emotionally incapacitated from something like outside of your realm of or not realm of existence, but like outside of your immediate vicinity happening, versus it happening to you, is that there's always going to be something out there. So it's like, so you just can't function as a human being, I guess. I don't know. That's just how I feel about empathy. Goddamn, they grinding something up there. They bumping and grinding a little bit of R. Kelly. Hey, you need some piss? um, yeah. But back to the like my brother with the schizophrenic thing. He was like, "Oh my god, that's like so bad. What happened to this lady?" And I tried to clear it up, being like, "No, she's schizophrenic." And he was like, "God, like that's torture." And I was like, "Yeah, it's always been torture. It was torture when it was happening to the people who thought their brains were being invaded by aliens or whatever. It's the same type of torture. Whether it's happening to this lady who thinks that her chlamydia is because the doctors are putting something in her urethra, versus someone, running around throwing shit around being like, they're fucking everything, aliens are everywhere. It's the same thing, right? So I tried to clear the air there, and he's still like, yeah, that's so bad, it's like torture. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, it's torture, man. It fucking sucks. It always did suck. That's what I said in my head, because I don't know, I didn't want to have that conversation, because I don't care that much. So I didn't want to have that conversation. So I ended up just saying, fucking, hustlers can learn from this, always on the grind, or it's just some dumb shit like that. I don't know. I guess he's just flipped the switch on the schizos, which I'll never do. I'm too scared of schizophrenia to really be like empathetic towards it. I can't ever like think about it in that serious of a light because then I'll be like, okay, well, like if it could happen to them, like it can happen to me. That's why I can never think about it seriously. But I guess he can now. But he's also, is he over? I think he's over 26 years old. I can't remember. Fucking, there's a whole lot of math to do. So his brain's, he's all set. You know, he's not getting the schizo unless he's, unless he wants to stay up really late and also work a whole ton and be horny and paranoid all the time and smoke meth. Then maybe he might get a touch of that schizo stuff. But he's clear of it, so I can understand why he can now, take it a little bit more. I can't, dude. I refuse to, because if I think about it for more than 2 seconds, I'm like, if that happens to me, I'm already living outside of reality. I'm already one of those people that's like always off in my own head thinking about whatever dumb shit is going on up in there. I'm already one of those people. So if I get it, dude, I'm getting it bad. I'm getting it horrible, man. It's like how some people get leukemia and 6 months later they're doing backflips or whatever, versus some people they get it and they're like they're skin and bones in a week. They're looking like an alleged Holocaust victim by, by day two. Like that's how schizophrenia would hit me. And I know that for a fact, which is why I'm like, I don't. But you can also look at the upside of that. The upside of having like a severe case of schizophrenia is that you're just so severely insane that coming back to reality isn't even an option, and you just get thrown in like some padded room somewhere. And then that's a bit of fun because you're hanging out with all the other boys all day, hearing all their ideas. They're like, dude, the fucking aliens are coming tomorrow. And then one guy's like, you fucking lying ass bitch, the aliens ain't coming tomorrow. They're here today. All right. And you're one of them. And then, the guy who accused the other guy of being the alien eats that other guy's face off. So that sounds like a pretty fun time, right? That sounds like a nice little adventure in the La La Land. So yeah, that's the upside of me getting schizophrenia. If I get it, I'm not gonna be one of these people who's like in and out of it. And like, I get a job at Walmart for like 3 years, and then there's just one day I have a break, and they find me in like a trailer somewhere, drawing a sigil on the wall. I'm not gonna be one of those people. I'm gonna be drawing sigils on the wall all the time. It's gonna be fun, and hopefully it'll be so debilitating that it like fries my brain, and I just get like dementia or something, and then I'm out of the game. So, upside of that, that's the upside of severe schizophrenia. Severe. And yeah, but in order to prevent, any schizophrenia from going on in the future, don't give your baby Tylenol, all right? Or if you're pregnant, don't be eating Tylenol. Don't be fucking munching on that shit, dude. Don't be eating it. Don't be putting that shit down your throat. All right. If you're a pregnant woman, the only thing you should be putting down your throat is Donald Trump's thick, girthy, still virile, still hard cock. That's the only thing you should be putting down your throat. All right. No Tylenol. Just Donald Trump's thick cock. And maybe a barrel of a gun if you don't think that Erica Kirk loved Charlie with all her heart. Those are the two, I guess, pieces of news that I didn't want to like pull up an article or read about or whatever, because I think it's just more fun to talk about it in and of itself as opposed to like some gay half Jewish writer from Long Island being like, and then Erica Kirk went up on stage and she was just wearing this one dress, and what that represents, I don't want that shit. I just want to talk about it on my own. And I guess the sources that I'm pulling from are people who are currently in manic episodes who really love posting on TikTok and Instagram Reels. Those guys are my sources. Always have been, always will be. So the whole Tylenol thing, it's insane. It's literally, it's the prime example, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit, of just hating Trump no matter what. Look, I don't like him either. I think he's a horrible fucking president, not conservative in any way, shape, or form. Hasn't done anything did one thing a conservative would do that we're going to talk about, but like, just I don't like him at all. He's a horrible fucking, even from a conservative, he's a horrible president, liar, just general piece of shit. Always has been, but now it's just a little bit more obvious because he has enough power to be like a piece of shit that's like an actually impactful piece of shit versus some guy who's ripping off like drywallers or whatever. He has more power now, so his piece of shit tendencies are just a little bit more obvious, and he has the ultimate power, which is So what if I fuck everything up? It's not like I'm going to lose another election. So, yeah, that's what Trump's got going on. But like the whole Tylenol thing is that was already a thing in the EU. I think maybe not the whole EU, but definitely in I think like Switzerland. Which if Switzerland, I don't agree with everything they're doing, but when it comes to medical stuff, I honestly, when it comes to medical stuff in Switzerland, I think they're on either side of the extreme where it's like these motherfuckers are either 100% right or 100% wrong, because I'm pretty sure Switzerland is where like the whole suicide pod thing started, which that's a crazy move for Switzerland. Switzerland does not have enough people to be like, all right, your time's up, kill yourself. Like they do not have enough people for that. You know, how are they going to survive another world war of neutrality? So I think Switzerland, someone brought up Luxembourg, and I was like, okay, I'm not listening to Luxembourg, but still, like the whole thing, it's just ridiculous, right? Like there's obviously all those videos of pregnant women being like, I'm gonna take Tylenol to tell Trump to fuck off or whatever, and it's just this is why people voted for Trump again, because you fuckers can't admit, and quite frankly, this is why the left voted for Joe Biden. This goes for both sides, but you just can't admit when he's right. You can't, and he's not even right. That's the other thing. This is it. He's just the guy saying the thing out loud. He didn't do the research, dude. Trump wasn't in the lab whipping out test tubes and using fucking micropipettes or whatever to figure out if Tylenol causes autism. He wasn't doing that. Like, I don't think they know that. He wasn't even the one that funded it. Like, you really think, how long has he been president for? 8 months now? You really think in 8 months they can, like, anyone who knows anything about, like, scientific journals and shit like that, this takes months and months and months for the peers to even review the study, right? So, you seriously think in 8 months Donald Trump went to Harvard, which is who did the experiment or the research, and was like, all right, figure out if Tylenol cures. That wasn't even on his brain. And honestly, if you think autism is on Trump's brain at all, it's not, dude. He has an autistic son who he doesn't even know exists, right? And his name is Barron, and he will be our God Emperor one day. But autism is not on Donald Trump's mind. He doesn't give a shit. Maybe it's on RFK's fucking worm-addled mind, but it's not on Donald Trump's brain. He doesn't give a shit, dude. So this is pretty much an independent study done by Harvard that figured out something that other people already knew to be true, right? Other countries knew this to be true. It was just the U.S. is like, we need to make sure we're right first, because obviously America's better than all those shithole countries. So we're not going to exactly take their word at face value. We just got to confirm it real quick. That's all that was. So, and it's not even specific to autism. It's just Trump. It's literally just Trump using the work of someone else to be like, we did it. We cured autism. They were studying that shit before Trump. Like, I don't know what these people are on about. They're just dumb and they hate him, right? And it's fair to hate him. I don't like the guy, but fuck if he wasn't right about that. And another thing that Trump was right about, dude, is the H-1B visa thing. That's another thing that I see where I'm like, these people don't care about the country that they live in, right? Or they don't care about the people of the country that they live in. They just want to live in a fucking nanny state where they just don't ever have to worry about anything, right? That's what I feel like most people are nowadays. They'd rather, who said that? Benjamin Franklin? If you value safety over liberty, then you deserve neither, or something like that. That's just what most people are like. But yeah, the whole H-1B visa thing is like good. People are like, oh, they're going to ship their jobs over to India, or they're just going to like ship the offices and the buildings over to good. Fine, let them do that. I would, right? And them being like, oh, we're going to fall behind in the tech space. It's like, dude, we were in the tech space. We were the leaders in the tech space before a billion fucking Indians had to be imported here a year, right? We were already the leaders in the tech space before that, before Bill Gates fired every single American from his team and just hired as many fucking Indians as he could for a quarter of the price, right? We were leading in tech before that. And it's just this, I think all of it's just like this weird propaganda, like this corporate propaganda that people completely fall for, right? And I think the people on the left do it, and the people on the right, tons of examples of them doing it, right? Like the whole American Eagle thing. That was just corporate propaganda. Like a lot of these people on the left, I feel like, think that these CEOs and stuff are like actually racist. These people are a step above racist. They hate black people, but they also hate white people. They don't like anyone other than people who have $1 billion in their bank account and a dead fucking sacrificed child to Moloch in their basement. Those are the only people that these billionaires like. And so, yeah, that's a piece of right wing propaganda that just the right fell for it completely. Being like, yeah, hot bitches back in the fucking thing. They don't care about whether you think the woman is hot or not. They don't give a fuck. They care about making money. That's all these corporations care about. And I feel like, the left's entire view on immigration, quite frankly, can almost completely be boiled down to corporate propaganda from the Koch brothers and Bill Gates, right? The Koch brothers want all these illegal immigrants coming in from like Mexico and Honduras and stuff to pick their fruit for them. That's what the Koch brothers want them here for. And Bill Gates wants 1 billion Indians to enter into this country fucking scot-free a year so that he doesn't have to pay Americans to do the job, right? The left has fallen completely for the corporate propaganda regarding immigration. And look, I'm not saying my opinion's, completely the right one either. But being like we need immigrants here do to do cheap labor for us, that's insane. That's you're literally like we need to import a new working class. That's a crazy idea to have. It's like why shouldn't the Americans be the working class, right? Or why shouldn't it be mostly why does it have to be all Indians and fucking Hondurans and shit like that? Why can't it be people, from this country or like and I don't have a problem with like immigrants and shit like that, but it's like, why does it all have to be immigrants, right? And that's what it is. People don't realize this. Like most of the agriculture business of the produce that you eat, that's all immigrants, man. It's all illegal immigrants coming in, California mostly. But I feel like probably Texas and just all that shit's immigrants. You think fucking Whitey's going out there for $3 an hour to pick lettuce in the sun? Out of your goddamn... You think anyone born in this country is doing that for $3 an hour? No, they're not. So, of course, fucking big businessman over here is going to be like, all right, let's get some poor sap whose entire family got skinned alive by the cartel to come up here and do this shit for $3 an hour because these Americans are so entitled or whatever. It's the same thing. I don't know why I said it's the same thing. Look, my brain is dead. It's not functioning properly in any way, shape, or form. But the corporate propaganda is strong. And I think people just overall, like, they think the government's the only motherfuckers that can make propaganda. And look, maybe for a while they were. And then the corporations who are run by the same people who run the government, they also were like, all right, let's use the propaganda now too. Let's figure this whole thing out. And then obviously they pay the people in government to push the propaganda for them. No, we need 1 billion Indians. We need 1 billion Indians or else my new iPhone can't come out. Oh. Use the old one, dumbass. Use the old one. Oh, how is Windows 12 gonna come out? How's the new version of fucking, Microsoft Word gonna be invented if we don't have 1 billion Indians here? How's it gonna work? And not even Indian. I don't give a shit where they're coming from. I'd be more outraged, quite frankly, if they were coming from Europe. I don't want those lazy pieces of shit here. Fuck, at least a couple of those Indians got that dog in them. But it's like, goddamn, dude, really? We have to import 1 billion fucking people from other countries every year, so that what? So that your fucking iPhone can be 0.5 millimeter thinner? I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. And these people, they're not doing like the jobs that you think you're doing. Fucking Prajit isn't coming over here fucking, using an atom laser to inscribe a super processor for a quantum computer. And I don't even know if they use super processors. And I don't even know if a super processor is a thing. But that's not the work they're doing. They're doing like menial slave work. They're doing the equivalent of what Mexicans do when they're picking apricots all day. That's what the Indians are doing. So, yeah, just to be like, oh, we need to import 1 billion people every year so that we can exploit them because the Americans are tired of being exploited. That's that's in essence what a lot of the people on the left are saying. Yeah, we need to import 1 billion people over here who got college degrees for free, who bought college degrees or whatever, because no American can afford anything, let alone college. Americans can't afford food, let alone college. So we need to import 1 billion people over here. Great idea. How'd you come up with that one? Oh, oh, did you learn that lesson from maybe some Southern dudes around 1840? Is that where you learned that lesson from? It, it seriously is a pretty similar deal. Oh, let me tell you, these white man. That was MLK. I don't know, Southern accent. Man, when I tell you these fucking those Yanks up north, they ain't willing to pick a bale of cotton over 12 days. That's why we need to import people from Africa. And they did not say people from Africa, but still, it's the same deal. It's like you don't. No one here has the proper education because it's $90,000 a semester, right? First off, and also they're not willing to work 60 hours a week for $50,000 or $100,000 a year. Even they're not willing to do that. They're not willing to sit in a dark office all day and fry their brains looking at a fucking blue screen while they don't see the sun for months for $100,000 a year. Sorry, you gotta pay them more. You can't you can't just be like, all right, well, you won't work for me, then I'll find some fucking dude who's used to eating cow shit, and I'll get him to do, and I'll get 10 of them to do the work that you would do, and I'll pay them not even 1% of what you're making. Like that's what this is. That's what Bill Gates is doing with these H-1B visas. And I get it. Doctors also come in on H-1B visas and stuff like that, which that's even a fucking bigger concern, dude. America is not producing enough of its own doctors to keep its population, whose health is already in decline, stable. We're not. That's like what Zimbabwe has to do. Zimbabwe has to bring in doctors from foreign countries because they are not able to supply enough of their own doctors to take care of their population. So that's an even crazier thing to me, where it's like, if we seriously need to import all these people so that Americans don't die, don't you think it's a bigger issue that we address why we don't have enough people here to take care of our own people, as opposed to just being like, all right, just keep them coming in? It's like, then what happens if they don't want to come anymore? What happens if China starts paying more money than us? Right? What happens then? They're just going to go to China. They're leaving their country anyway. Who gives a shit if they're going to America, or they don't give a shit if they're going to America or China? So it's like, dude, we need to make our own doctors. That's like a bigger deal than, Prajit having to go back to Mumbai. I'm sorry. Sorry, Prajit, that you have to go back to Mumbai. There's a reason you left it in the first place. So I'm sorry that you have to go back. But, dude, you're telling me we're not producing enough of our own doctors, and instead of making this about what it should be, which is the fact that education in America is quickly collapsing, instead of making it about that fact, you go, no, it's actually about racism. It's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense. No, you don't understand. The collapsing American education system, it's not about that. It's about racism. It's like, dude, we're turning into Zimbabwe. We're literally like, fuck. America's about to start, like, Doctors Without Borders, I'm pretty sure, is an American organization. Dude, we're gonna need doctors within borders. All right? Like, that's seriously what is going on here. And you're like, no, this is about racism. And look, I'm kind of on their side. Trump isn't doing anything to, like, help the next generation of American doctors. He's actually doing a lot of things to hurt that. But it's just weird to focus on, like, the racism side of it, as opposed to, focusing on the part of it that is far more important, which is a country that can't produce its own doctors. That's a big problem here. That's a major problem that you just seem completely unwilling to address, because then you'd have to be like, yeah, importing 1 billion people to do our busy work for us isn't actually a good thing. It's actually bad for them and us. Yeah, I don't. That's just how I feel about it. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about the news real quick. This is a completely brain dead episode. I feel like nothing I've said has made any sense at all. But, God, dude, and the voice too. I know my voice is awful right now. I did have sexy like Barry White voice there for a little bit, or Lou Rawls. You'll never find. I had that for like a day, and now it's like 12-year-old. I'm having some testosterone hit my system for the first time ever. That's the switch we made here. I went from like being a fucking a late night jazz radio host to being like, Mom, I just want to play Clash Royale. Why are you bothering me? I went from that in about 24 hours, which I don't know. My voice is honestly closer to a 12-year-old kid who's addicted to Clash Royale as opposed to Barry White. But still, I think that's the guy's name. Barry White, something like that. All right. So now we're gonna read our first article here. So, 20 injured in Yemen drone attack on Israel, rescuers and military say. Look at these Jews. Look at them all. Just schnozzes on all the boys here. Yeah, that guy's native to Lebanon. That's that's what that guy looks like. Yeah. All right. So let's read a little bit about this. Rescuers say at least 20 people have been injured in southern Israel after the Israeli military said a drone was launched from Yemen. Look, you shouldn't make assumptions about things, about groups of people, because that's bigotry and it's wrong. All right. But if I had to take a shot in the dark here, I would say maybe this drone wasn't sent from Yemen, and maybe it was sent from, I don't know, Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. Maybe it was sent from one of those cities. I got to sneak. A lot. They're saying a lot of these people, whether it's Hamas or I guess the Houthis in Yemen, or maybe Yemen, or maybe the official Yemeni government or whatever. You know, these guys kind of, especially recently, have a history about lying about people doing things to them, right? They actually, they actually, their entire current genocide that they're perpetrating is based off one of those lies. If you really want to look into it, and that's not a new thing. I learned this recently, and I knew about other false flag attacks and stuff, but and they go back pretty far actually. But one that I didn't know about is uh, the USSR tried to invade Finland in 1938, I think, if I remember correctly. They tried to invade Finland, and they were trying to they kept lining up troops on the border of Finland and doing all this stuff to try to fuck with Finland. And obviously the Finnish, they're just fucking depressed, pickled fish eating motherfuckers. They're like, hargy bargy, we're not gonna fight you, or however the fuck those people talk. But so they just weren't taking Russia's bait. Russia was trying hard to rage bait them. And so what Russia did was it launched artillery from Russia onto this border town that's on the border of Finland and the USSR. So they launched artillery from their own country onto their own country, and the Finnish were like, hold on, hold on, hold on. We need to Finland was like, we will strike a, not a peace deal, but what's it called? Like a temporary armistice or whatever. Maybe armistice is surrendering. I don't know, whatever it's called. We'll do that, but we need someone else to come here and investigate this. It's fucking Finland. It was Finland in 1940. There was 4 people or not 4 million people. Might as well be 4. There was 4 million people at Finland, or in Finland at the time. There's no way they had fucking artillery that could shoot across the border. So they were like, Russia, no, we're not playing with your bullshit. Let's get some private investigators here. Or, we both pick our own investigators to see what's going on. And Russia was just like, no, you're getting invaded. And then, dude, after that, the Finnish destroyed them completely. They sent in hundreds of thousands of troops into Finland. In Finland, there's one guy, you might have heard about him, White Death. His name's Somo Haya or something like that. He killed 500 people on his. They destroyed the Russians. They fucked them up tremendously bad. And then Russia was like, we're not going as the bitch in this situation, and they got 2 icebergs or some shit like that. So false flag attacks aren't anything new, but if you know about the communist leaders in Russia, it's the same people doing it. Hey, it's the same people doing the false flag attacks. but let's read. The Israel Defense Force (IDF) said the drone struck the resort town of Eilat on the Red Sea coast with attempts made to intercept it. Okay, if you as a country are trying to say we are fighting for our lives right now and we need billions of dollars from other countries and we need to completely wipe out this population for our own population to be alive, for you to be like, yeah, we also have a resort town. Right? Like when Russia invaded Finland in the Winter War, I'm pretty sure Finland didn't, they weren't running a fucking Six Flags on a glacier somewhere. I'm pretty sure what they weren't doing that. I'm pretty sure a country whose existence is on like the brink of being destroyed. That didn't make any sense, but you guys know what I mean. I'm pretty sure a country doing that isn't like, time for the water slide. Who wants to ride on the Mamba? I'm pretty sure if you were actually fearing for the collective lives of all of your people, you you wouldn't be chilling in the lazy river drinking a margaroni or whatever they're doing. So the Magen David Adam Emergency Medical Service, God, dude, even in fucking Israel, they're charging people for healthcare, for fucking ambulances. Said 20 people were taken to Yostfall Hospital, including 2 men with serious limb injuries. The Iranian-backed Houthis claimed responsibility for the strike following the attack. So we have our new ISIS / Al Qaeda. The Houthis are now the new ISIS / Al Qaeda. Everything that seems like a terrorist attack is now just the Houthis are going to take responsibility for it. And I'm sure in 20 years we'll find out that the Houthis were backed by Israel. I'm sure, maybe not even 20 years. We might find out about that shit tomorrow. And I'm sure I'm right about that. So a spokesman for the group, Yaha Saria, said 2 drones targeted 2 Israeli enemy targets in a successful operation. Israeli TV stations broadcast live footage of the drone strike in the area it hit, which showed billowing smoke rising from the site. Okay, so yeah, they just happen to have yeah, they just happen to have cameras on an active drone strike, and the IDF with its fucking Iron Dome just happened to not shoot it down. Okay. Footage posted on social media verified by the BBC shows a drone in the sky disappearing out of view as it flies down behind buildings. A few moments later, birds scatter as they fly up into the sky. All right, and this is another thing about us. Let's pretend for like 100% for a fact that Israel isn't kind of doing this to themselves in order to garner empathy from, the global community. Let's pretend that for a second. We are giving these people billions and billions of dollars every single year so that what? So that they can not shoot down a drone. This isn't a hard thing to do, dude. There's some shitty American missile company somewhere that's making something that could blow that thing into fucking confetti. And they're like, no, we can't. We didn't shoot it down. We saw it was going, but we didn't shoot it down. It's like, oh God. If you're getting fucked up by an enemy that's riding in to your city on fucking Fortnite gliders, I'm gonna stop giving you money because you're clearly not good at what you're doing. God damn. So, IDF troops alongside the Israeli police were dispatched to the area of Eilat after receiving a report of a UAV attack, the IDF said in a statement. It added troops and the police were assisting in evacuating the area, and a helicopter had been deployed to evacuate the wounded from the scene. Wishing a full recovery, the Houthi terrorists refused to learn from Iran, Lebanon, and Gaza, and will learn the hard way. Well, goodbye, Yemen. It was fun knowing you. I'm not a big fan of you guys, but I don't think you all deserve to die, but you will. Have fun with Israel. Even though Israel did this to itself, they're gonna blame you. So have fun with it. So all right, this next article again from the BBC. It's because the BBC is like the only one that posts the articles and doesn't make me pay. I'm not gonna pay to read a fucking article on the internet, dude. Like I don't know what's so hard about that to understand for these people. So China makes landmark pledge to cut its climate emissions. Well, remember when they all did that? Remember when every country did that, or some major countries did that like 10 years ago? They were like, after 5 years, we'll cut our emissions in half, and then none of them did it. Oh, well, thank God China's making a new pledge. Now their rivers aren't going to be filled with sludge, and their people aren't going to be breathing in fucking vaporized Teflon. Great. Now they're not going to, because China made a pledge. They're not going to do it, guys. They're going to build like one fucking solar farm over a village that they bulldozed. So China, the world's biggest source of planet-warming gases, has for the first time committed to an absolute target to cut its emissions. Dude, this is like... Yeah, I committed to a target. Yeah, it's like when a guy's like, I'm gonna improve my life. It's like, what does that even mean? We committed to a target. And obviously this is like a number. Like they're, emitting whatever, 150 megatons a year. I don't even know if that's close to a real number. And then they're like, now we're gonna do 100 million megatons only. It's like, it's the same thing. This is China's New Year's resolution. In a video statement to the UN in New York, President Xi Jinping said that China would reduce its greenhouse gas emissions across the economy by 7 to 10% by 2035 while striving to do better. The announcement comes at a time the U.S. is rolling back on its commitments, with President Donald Trump on Tuesday saying that climate change is a gut job. All right. So we got Trump over here being Trump, and then Xi Jinping is full on a white person during like the George Floyd era. Just being like, hey, we need to do better as a race. We need to do better. But some critics said China's plan did not go as far as hoped to keep global climate goals in reach. Yeah, and like really, unless you're being like, we're going to build nuclear power plants, then whatever plan you're coming up with isn't going to actually reduce global emissions, or at least when it comes to power. Maybe you can put like some scrubbers on, smokestacks at your factory or something like that. But really, when it comes down to it, solar panels, Africa is going to be uninhabitable in about a decade if we keep doing what we're doing with batteries and solar panels and shit like that. Wind turbines are horribly inefficient. It's nuclear power is really the only answer, and people have just refuse to accept that fact because the Russians made a bomb. They knew they were making a bomb in Chernobyl. That's what Chernobyl was. They knew they were doing that, and they did it anyway. So it's like the USSR, who killed like hundreds of millions of their own people, maybe not hundreds of millions, but at least 800 million of their own people, built a bomb because they didn't have morality, and probably still don't have morality. So now we have to fucking make 12-year-old Bobo or whatever go into a cobalt mine and have all the skin melted off his body because the Russians are retarded and they're fine with sacrificing innocent lives. Okay, great. Very fun. I was going to read this last article, but I'm so goddamn tired. Just mentally and physically. My voice is gone. But this episode was generally unintelligible, which it's not a whole lot coming from me because most of my episodes are, but that's all I've got for this episode. And it wasn't, I don't think I made that many jokes. Wish I made more, but brain isn't really working. Body isn't really working. My dick and balls are working, though. I can tell you that for a fact. And they won't leave me alone. I'm being assaulted. I might have to go trans, dude. Might be the only way to fucking, not jerk off for, 2 days. But it's been 4 days, dude. Been 4 days and I'm ready to kick. Dude, I'm getting swole. I go to the gym pretty regularly. Or I have been for like 3 weeks, but still. I've gotten more swole from just not jerking off. And I'm not hungry either. That's the other thing. The zero hunger has entered my mind or body since I didn't jerk off for 4 days. But, alright, that's all I've got for this episode, guys. I hope you have a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life. And I'll see you guys on Monday, probably. Got a lot of shit to do, so I probably won't be recording again until Monday. Or that's when the episode will come out. But see you guys then. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a good day, good week, good year, good life. Peace.